Fighting with My Family. This is a movie based on the WWE wrestler Paige. This is about her life and her wrestling family, wrestling background before she makes it to the WWE. This movie stars Florence Pugh as the wrestler Paige, as well as Nick Frost, Lena Headey, whatever her name is pronounced, from Game of Thrones, Cersei Lannister, that is, as well as Vince Vaughn. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in it playing Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's playing the wrestling form of The Rock. Now, this movie I was very hyped for because I don't know if you can see my shirt here. This is a wrestling shirt. This is my favourite women's wrestler at the moment. This is Alexa Bliss, and I am a big WWE fan. And I was excited for this movie because not only am I a big WWE fan, I'm a big Paige fan. She was one of my, favourite women when she was wrestling. Now, this movie is not a wrestling fan movie. I can tell you that from the get-go. If you're wondering, Ace, I don't watch wrestling. I've never seen it. Can I enjoy this film? Yes, I think you can, because this movie was fantastic. I think this movie is just a classic, kind of cliched in a way, but it's just an underdog story. And yes, it happens to be based on wrestling, but just like you don't necessarily have to love basketball to watch Coach Carter, you can enjoy that movie, or Remember the Titans to enjoy for football. Like, there's always sports that you can just watch and go, alright, I don't really watch this sport, but I'm enjoying the movie because the movie is so damn good. And I think this is one of those cases. Now, of course, the hardcore fans, the wrestling fans, are going to know a bit more and know going into it what kind of happens. Me included, I listened to podcasts before about Paige, so I knew her story. I'm a big fan of Paige, so I knew kind of the things that were going to happen. I think people that just go, oh yeah, I don't watch it, you'd enjoy it. I think the only people that you can cut off and be like, probably won't like it, would be the hard, wrestling's fake, wrestling's dumb, fuck wrestling kind of people. But even then, I think this isn't, it's a wrestling movie, and it's definitely about wrestling, but it's a character piece in a way, which I thought was a great thing for them to do. Now let's get into it with the characters, right? Paige is phenomenal to watch on screen. Florence Pugh does a great job in, incorporating, capturing who Paige was, and as a wrestler, as a person, I think this is a great thing. It introduces her brother, who you've never seen in WWE before, and I really felt for his character. I think the actor, that I'm not sure whose name is, was great in that role. The parents, who are kind of big in the UK scene, the UK wrestling scene, Nick Frost, Lena Headey again, were fantastic. Nick Frost is great in this film. He's very funny, he's very likable, enjoyable to watch on screen. Vince Vaughn was fantastic. Great comparison, I think, is that character, that hard-hitting kind of bit of a dick character that he played in Hacksaw Ridge. I think this is the version without him, swearing as much. I think that's a great comparison to him not just being, the main actor making in a comedy. He's not that character, which I think is great. And The Rock's playing The Rock literally, so I think great casting there. But that's it. The characters are really enjoyable, and the story is great. I think it's the perfect underdog story. It shows not only her story of building up to WWE, but her brothers and her family going through it, and that's truly why it's called Fighting with My Family, because it's not just about Paige's career as a wrestler, it's about her family life and what she had to go through to get there, and what relationship broke down when she got there, what new relationship did she create. I think that's a great part of the movie, is just seeing everything outside of the ring truly, unfold beyond our eyes. Now, I think the thing that it does have going for it is that it is a cliche. It's kind of one of those uplifting movies that you kind of see where they're going and you can understand where it's going. But does that make it bad? No. If you deliver a cliche well, you can't complain. I think that's what makes it, enjoyable, is you're behind these characters, you're getting behind the story, and you want to see what happens, and I think that's great. As well, this movie is hilarious. I was laughing more than I thought I ever would in this movie. It is really fucking funny. I think the trailer shows a bit of it, but it kind of misconstrues what is said to what, which I think was interesting to say. It wasn't a bad thing, but I just was like, oh, I know what he's going to say next, and then he didn't say that, and then he said it like a couple lines later, and I was like, oh, in the trailer they flipped that around a little bit, because the reason as well, I've seen this trailer so many times, is they show this on like every ad break for WWE in the last like 4 months, so I'd seen a lot of it. But that's kind of the only negative, is they do Hollywoodize it, and they do miss some parts and cliche some things for the sake of the story, which I understand you got to do. But being a wrestling fan, knowing Paige and watching a lot of Paige's career, and being one of the most iconic moments in her career was, one of the scenes you see. You go, I've seen that, and that's not quite how it unfolded, and I get it. There was parts, as well as, if you guys watch the movie, you will see NXT as kind of a training ground for WWE. It is its own company. At that form, she actually had the NXT Women's Champion. She was the first ever NXT Women's Champion, which is not a spoiler because obviously it is a biopic, but they don't show that in the film. She just goes to NXT. NXT is like kind of this developmental training ground, which it is, but they've also got their own shows. They've also got their own matches. They've also got their own belts. And she did win some a title there, which they kind of skipped over, which I think they could have put in because that was huge as well. She was the first ever NXT Women's Champion. I would have liked that included in the movie. But I can understand what they were doing when they were trying to kind of set the movie up the way they set the movie up. I understand that, as well as just Hutch Morgan, which is Vince Vaughn's character, isn't necessarily based on a specific character, and I can understand that as well. But as a wrestling fan, I think it kind of... Well, it was enjoyable, but I knew more specifically than the casual fan would. So I think if you're a casual wrestling fan, it's a fantastic movie for you. I've always been a big fan of Paige. If you guys do not realize this, and this is not a spoiler because it's not included in the movie. After the movie, she has a career, and unfortunately, she leaves the company at first. She comes back, goes through some kind of controversy, but when she comes back, she gets injured, and then kind of trying to fight through injury, and then unfortunately, she now has to retire due to a neck injury. She cannot wrestle ever again, which was kind of a sad thing watching this movie to think. She's a trailblazer for these women's division. The movie, they call them divas. They're not divas anymore. They're women, and that was partially Paige's thing. Unfortunately, she can't wrestle anymore, so that kind of sucks. But it kind of made the movie more special for me, knowing, how good Paige really is, and they represented her perfectly on screen, I think. And I'm going to give Fighting With My Family a B+. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of this movie. Probably went for a bit longer than most people's review on this movie because I love the business. Wrestling is my shit. I watch it, 3 times a week, and I do enjoy it. WrestleMania is coming up. I'm going to have a really fun time with that. So I get to enjoy talking about stuff that I don't necessarily get to always talk about when it comes to this channel, because this is a movie channel. So it's enjoyable to talk about it for a little bit, even though I kind of just captured some of the movie's perspectives, but that was there for you. It did come out a bit late, this review, because the movie came out like a month later in Australia, because Awesome, same with Lego Movie, we got them a month late. Us is coming out this week, so I'm probably going to say that next time this week next time today, a week from today, I'll stop mumbling that Us review will be up, but that's enough for me talking right now. Never seen me, press that subscribe button, comment, whatever you want to talk about, but of course, guys, have a good one.